Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Gun Show VIP edition. Yes, we are on episode, I don't even know at this point, of the Gun Show in general, and I'm so excited because for those of you tuning in the first time, the reason I get excited is because manufacturing is what a lot of us would deem as an invisible industry. I mean, if you look around you, almost everything has been touched in one way or another other than maybe humans and what you breathe by manufacturing. What you're sitting in, what you're driving, what's all around you, what works your phones. I mean, walk into the doctor's office. What's a doctor going to be able to do without engineering and manufacturing? These things are important to me. They're a big part of my passion because I think that when we look at our children and go, my kid's going to so-and-so university to be a doctor, well, my kid's going to so-and-so trade school to be an engineer, each should be equally respected. What would we have? Rocks? Air? I mean, come on, let's think about this. So, with that being said, that's why we're here. So, the Gun Show, if you showed up to see muscles and weapons, I don't have either of those. Sometimes we talk about it, but I don't have either of those. My guests might even have those, but I do not. So, no, I'm sorry, no weapons or guns. I mean, no weapons or muscles. However, please stay. Stick around. You might like the show. I have a couple of really great guests. But before we get to the guests, I also want to thank my sponsors. Firstly, let's thank MTDCNC for being the global media channel that it is. If you're ever interested in manufacturing and you want to learn about it, mtdcnc.com, you will find information on darn near everything that gets made. And my other two sponsors, AMT, we're very excited about IMTS this year. It's coming quick. I know you guys just had a meeting as well about it. I've seen a lot of posts on LinkedIn about it. And my second sponsors are EBITDA Growth Systems. Guess what, though? They're actually with me today. Yeah. So I'm not going to go into too many details about what they do today because they are actually with me, but I'm very grateful for them to be a sponsor as well. So with that being said, let's kind of get started and welcome these folks to the show. My friends, Dave and Mike, we've spent a lot of time with these guys recently creating a show called Shop Rescue, which is going to release maybe by the time this show releases. Maybe, I don't know that exact answer, but we're releasing it soon. I know that. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show, what it is to tune in. And we'll see where this show gets released. I might bump it to the front of the line if these guys are lucky, just based on what we talk about today. All right, no further ado. No more of me talking. I know you get bored of me because then I'll just start singing. So let's get started with EBITDA Growth Systems. Dave and Mike, let's switch the cameras over to these good-looking guys. Christian, let's take a look at them. There they are. Yes, yes, yes.
What's up?
So we've spent a lot of time together in Colorado. We spent a lot of time together in Cleveland. We've discussed the opportunities. I fell in love with the idea and the concept of what you guys have put together over the last few years and just wanted to go all out into supporting it in any way that I can. So the reverse side of that and having you guys on the sleeves of our MTD shirts at this point, just honored and grateful for that. But first, what I want to do, and normally on this show, for those of you who are returning listeners, I like to hear the journey of the people. But I know today is very important to figure out what EBITDA Growth Systems is, what they do, and how they can help so many of you out there. So Dave, Mike, who would like to start with the story of EBITDA Growth Systems? And let's focus on what you do to honor this industry and how you're helping so many companies out there. Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Well, it's good to be on your show, Tony. This is good. In terms of EBITDA Growth Systems, we started out as a result of a book that we wrote called Scaling to Exit, because after some research, I discovered that baby boomers as a demographic, many of them were expecting to sell their company to fund their retirement, but less than 20% of those companies were actually saleable. And so I wrote a book called Scaling to Exit, which was a strategy for baby boomer-owned business owners to have some kind of exit. And Dave read the book. We got together. He came on board. He said, what do we really do? And I said, we grow EBITDA. And he said, can we call ourselves EBITDA Growth Systems? And so we rebadged ourselves as EBITDA Growth Systems.
Bro, it's more colorful than that.
Yeah.
Mike's a consultant, and he's kind of BA. And so he's a bit of a badass. So he only works with so many people. So I had a team, and we had some issues, and Mike came highly recommended. And I'm like, I want to talk to Mike. And I gotta get this guy in here. You know, a really good friend of ours, Mike Hirsch, recommended him, and he's like, I'll have coffee with you to see if you're good enough for my time. And
I didn't say those words.
No, of course not. But we had coffee because you only want to work with people that you really want to work with, and And dude, that was the day the magic started, bro. And Mike vetted me, and then I invited him into the shop I was running, and I saw how he's working. I read his book, and I don't mean to cut you off, Michael, but Mike is a cut above, and I'm very fortunate to be his business partner.
You're good, man. I appreciate that.
Look at the respect you two have for each other. I tell you, it's genuine. What I want to do to initially launch this podcast with you guys is I really want to. You and we've all spent time together. I understand what you guys do. We went into priest manufacturing. We know what's happening, and I've seen you firsthand with your magic. I'm currently working on a sales pitch video for you guys that's going to release soon as well. So I've studied that I know all of it, but I want the audience to know what I know. And I really want someone who's listening to this podcast to listen to you guys and go, holy crap, I do need them, or at least now I know what they do, and maybe the shop down the street I know could use them. How are you helping these folks, and what are you doing in order to take a shop that's not saleable, as you say, Mike, and turn it into something sellable? How are you able to do that?
Tony, it's really I think it begins with a mission focus, and our mission is to impact lives by improving business performance.
Amen.
And so we start with that, and then our brand promise to a potential client is, hey, we're going to double your value in 3 years, and we'll give you all your money back.
Stop it.
Yeah. And then we just break it down. I mean, there's 5 functions in a business, and all 5 functions have to be hitting on all cylinders for you to maximize your value. So it's pretty straightforward.
That's the business plan, and that's the plan and how we function, but the passion behind it. I saw what Mike was doing. I saw how he was impacting my team and helping me lead a team out of dysfunction. And then I rewound, and I remember, my past and running a shop, owning a shop, and all the late nights and what I sacrificed for that business. And as I get more and more gray hair, the more I want to pass on to other people. And I had this huge passion. Mike's like, why don't you join me? I'm like, dude, I got this cushy corporate job. Do I want to do this? And I'm like, you know what? You only live once. Let's do it. And it's like, and he's like, I was like, hey, Mike, I'm ready to go. And he's like, holy crap. You okay? All right, let's do this. That's just how it happened. So,
and as a result, the work that I was doing was for software companies, defense contractors. I mean, I was pretty spread out. And Dave said, hey, my background is manufacturing, and I think that industry is large enough for us to make money, but small enough for us to have an impact. And so we made that declaration at that time. We're only going to focus on manufacturing. And it's been wonderful.
I assumed a lot of people in the industry had the same struggles I did when I started my shop, and I ran it for 16 years before I sold it. I assumed those people had the same pain, the same sacrifices, the same, how do I gather cash? How do I start from nothing and then growing it into something? Because that's not easy, man. It's painful. And, man, if I can shortcut some of that pain to where they didn't have to go through what I went through, then my purpose in life is about others. It's not about me. So you take that and you mix it with Mike's knowledge and background and research, and here we are.
And I encourage everyone who's listening to this podcast right now to also tune into the episodes of Shop Rescue, because a lot of what's being described about this passion and the details, these guys actually map it out in this show. And I've seen the first potential final edit of episode 1, and I loved it, every single second of it, and I learned so much from it, so I hope you guys do as well. What I want to do now, guys, because we've kind of gone over a little bit of the passion, the story, how you got together, and how you can help shops. One hell of a guarantee, by the way, Mike. If I'm a shop listening right now, even if I'm a successful shop, I'm going, double, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I might give them a call anyway, right? So what I want to do, and I don't throw people under the bus ever, but what qualifies you guys to offer these services and offer these guarantees to these folks that they can look at you in a trustworthy way and go, these are my guys. I'm currently looking for some sort of help. We've realized now that no one likes to be called struggling. No one likes to be allow people to think that they even need help. We have a ton of egos in this industry, but egos can often be the death of us. So it's important that someone can look in the mirror and go, I do need help. And that goes for mental health too, physical health too, what we're talking about right now. So that's for a podcast for another day. Going back to, since I gave you time to think about the answer, which you probably didn't need anyway, going back to why when you look at me and why when I look at you, do I trust you with my shop, which I've dedicated my life to move forward?
Number one, you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm good. Because I want you to bookend this
Okay.
because you're such a big part of the foundation of this answer. I'm a tool and die maker by trade, machinist, tool and die maker. I've served an original German apprenticeship. I paid my dues before I sang the blues. I thought I could do it better than my boss. I started a business, and I started another one. I started another division of that business, another division of that business, and then I failed a couple times, got my butt just handed to me. And I thought I could outwork bad pricing. I thought I could outwork being cheap. I thought I could outwork not knowing finance enough, but knowing the trade really well. I could make anything. I mean, 5-axis milling, Swiss machining, 5, 6, 7-axis grinding, wire EDM, and I was in the orthopedic industry for 30 years. It's my whole background. Had the shop, had a successful exit in 2010. And after that, I knew what I knew. And then I joined corporate America. I mean, I had people that were higher up in companies see something in me and say, I want to invest in that guy. And I had one person after another person after another person invest in me. So what I became known for is turning around businesses. So I was turning around, $110 million companies, $27 million companies, part of a $1.3 billion company with a B. And then I got involved in private equity and buying shops and what makes them valuable and what makes them tick. And when you have experience with a $1 million shop and a $1.3 billion shop and everything in between, and then you become known for turning places around and creating value, and then you bolt on private equity. I was never employed. Well, I guess I was employed for diligence sake by private equity. And then how they evaluate businesses and know exactly what makes a machine shop valuable or a manufacturer valuable. I've bought them, I've sold them, I've flipped them, I've improved them, I've grown value. We did a 10-month stint in a place and grew the enterprise value by $35 million in 10 months. And that facility was $11 million when we entered there.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you have that kind of experience and you have fantastic people that have invested in me, it's a lot of knowledge that I just want to share. So I've just done it. I've done it a dozen times or more. For big corporations that made a lot of people a lot of money. Now with coaching and what we do at EGS, I've done it dozens of times. So with that's my experience is walking into a shop and in 5 minutes understanding what's going on, where the struggles are, where the opportunities are, and how to take that to the next level. That's my background. And everything, cutting chips, molding, anything to do with manufacturing. I can have an impact because I have an understanding because I've had so many people invest in me. That's the functional part of the business. And I can dance with a P&L really well. I understand the financial side of the business very well. Now, you mix that with Mike, which I'll let Mike go next, and you'll see why.
That's a great answer. You almost make me want to start a machine shop and use you for insurance of just in case I don't succeed. I got some backup right here, and we're going to succeed.
People do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mike, what do we got, buddy?
Yeah, my background is probably more traditional for your average management consultant in that I came out of software, worked in large Fortune 100 companies, and worked with consultants from McKinsey and Ernst & Young and observed their best practices in those companies that I work for. And I had my fair share of exits from those companies, publicly traded companies. And in 1999, I was like, you know what? I think I want to make myself some money. And so I launched my little management consulting practice. I had my formal education around the MBA in finance, and I practiced law for 5 years. So I felt like I had what I needed to do well, and I did do well. And I discovered I really love the great game of business, and I kind of codified or productized that great game of business in my own mind, and the book was the result of that. So yeah, just got exposed to a lot of, like Dave said, I had a lot of people pour into me. I got exposed to some industry best practices, and large firms can afford that. Small to medium-sized firms can't afford that. So I said, I'm going to bring that large firm management consulting best practice to small to medium-sized companies. And then when Dave and I came together, we decided, okay, we're going to concentrate it on small to medium-sized manufacturers. And so our brand promise is it should get your attention, but in fact, we never worry about giving money back.
Not at all.
So
This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Bryson. I am the Business Development Manager for the Americas for Blaser Swiss Lube. So Blaser Swiss Lube is a cutting fluid company. We have our headquarters obviously in Switzerland, but we have our US headquarters in Goshen, New York. Dave gave me a call. He was talking about a job shop. They need help. And when they need help, we want to make sure that we as a community and as an industry are there to support them and do anything it takes to make sure that they are killing it. We want to help these smaller shops because their success is our success, right? And then you watch them grow. They buy more coolant, we're able to help them. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
A couple of things I want to bring up. The joke I'm about to make, the younger generation probably won't understand it because you said I'm going to make some money for myself in '99, right? You weren't scared of Y2K? Do you remember that weird thing?
Yeah. That was
Y2K.
that was craziness.
So I can look at my phone's
Everything's
going
to shut down. Planes are going to fall out of the sky.
yeah.
Obviously, that didn't happen. Anyway, the other thing I would like to kind of discuss is, without saying any names, because I'm not sure that you're allowed to, I want to hear maybe your favorite turnaround story currently with EBITDA, because I think that connects with an audience and allows them to go, okay, well, I'm going through that as well. I'm going through that as well. And I can see that light at the end of the tunnel based on how this conversation's going. And again, let's not throw out any names unless you want to.
No,
it's totally up to you. If you want to name drop Disney or something on there, who am I to judge? You know what I mean? But totally up to you. But a favorite story, kind of go into detail about what was necessary that switched up, maybe even the mood of the people. I know firsthand experience being with priests. We saw the emotion in the now wife's reaction to what you guys had done. And I remember her very distinctly outside when we were filming telling me, because it was about hope and what we were going to see. And she said, I didn't know if we'd ever be able to have kids. And now he's not working 100 hours a week and he's home on weekends and we spend time together and we might actually have a family.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's why we
wow,
do what we do.
No doubt. And I think to answer your question, and Dave, I think you'll concur, one of the outgrowths of our practice is that we find companies that decide they're ready to sell, and we find a buyer. And so one of our first sales was a client. When he met me, I was doing an event for NTMA, and he walked up to me and he said, "You probably can't help me, but you think we can have coffee?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we had coffee, and what was his story, Dave? I mean, this dude had he had extended himself on his mortgage, so he had no more headroom there. He had extended himself on his line of credit for his business, no more headroom there. He had a payroll coming up, and he had a big contract, and he couldn't afford to buy the material for the contract, so he was going to shut the door.
And he was going to miss his payroll.
Yeah, yeah. So unbeknownst to me, Dave was on the board for NTMA, so he knew this fella, and so Dave was trying to buy him because it was a good business fundamentally. The guy just had mismanaged it. Long story short, we came in. We said, "Hey, you got this big contract, man. So you just gotta tell them you need 50% down." And he's like, "If I do that, they're gonna take the contract." It's like, okay, you're going out of business anyway. Well, you got to lose, right? And so we did. And Dave told him the same thing again, unbeknownst to me. And so they gave him the money, and then.
Well, before that, I looked at his quote. And he was bidding. He was bidding on like a $500,000 5-axis mill, $50 to $60 an hour. So I worked with him to requote that job before he asked for half of it down. We did happen to increase the price to market rate.
Yeah, and so he's like, if I go in with this, I mean, they gave me the PR already. So if I go in with this rate, they're going to take the work. Again, you're about to go out of business. What do you got to lose? And of course, he brings the new price, and they said, we were wondering how long it was going to take you to figure this out.
Stop. They immediately admitted it as well.
A Fortune 100 company admitted it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So 18 months later, we sold him for $6 million, and he got his team another $500,000. But get this, Christmas comes up, and this is a grizzly old machinist dude. And we're at a Christmas party, and he walks up to Dave and I, and he's about to cry. And we're like, dude, you good? What's going on? And he said, it's Christmas. And we said, yeah. He said, I've never had money at Christmas, ever.
Wow.
And I have money now. I can buy my wife a Christmas present.
What was it? Say what it was.
It was a Viking stove.
No kidding.
Oven.
It's a great stove.
Yeah.
I was in that industry for a while.
But you know, he was broken up. And that's when I said, hey, Dave, you know our mission statement of impacting lives by improving performance? That's what that is.
Mm.
And
what are the chances that young man's listening to this show? We could pull him on here as well, share his story.
He's probably in Tahiti right now. That dude travels all the time.
He dives now. He was one of the guys that did like free soloed El Cap. So he was a climber. He was in Yosemite on a rescue team, and
my microphones are mobile. I'll be happy to meet him in Tahiti and do some underwater podcasting.
This dude is something else, and he's in his mid-60s, and he retired well, and he grew 6x his value in 18 months.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we say doubling your value, it's not hard. All you gotta do is listen and trust us a little bit, and maybe go beyond. But when you know what the market's doing, it's not hard to advise people. That's one of my favorite stories, but my favorite story is Nick and Tanner, man.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I look at Nick and I see me in 1994. That's exactly how I was, man. That's I mean, I had kids, and my kids were like, "Who's that guy that stops by once a week?" Right? But I mean, I lived that life to where I wasn't home, and I worked 90 hours a week, and my wife reminds me, I worked over 90 hours a week for 9 years straight. I had a trucking company that was shipping parts. I had a welding company building parts to ship. I had a machine shop that was making parts, just getting into orthopedics. I also had a landscaping company. I didn't have money when I started, so I started mowing grass. I had a landscaping company mowing just shy of 1,500 acres a week. And I had all these businesses going in my early 30s and just working. And at the end of the day, I was like, what am I doing this for? And I was watching my kids grow up kind of from a distance. And I'm like, this isn't how life's meant to be. And there was a day, my daughter, I think she was less than 5, she was 2 or 3, and she looked at my wife and said, hey, are we going back to our house, or are we going to stay at Daddy's? I was at the shop.
Wow.
And I think I had 5 divisions of one big company at that point, and I sold everything but one inside of like 6 months from there. And I was like, I'm done with this. This isn't the right way to run a business. I'm not doing it right. More doesn't mean better. More hours doesn't mean better. Working hard isn't the key. Working hard's a key, but you got to work smart and work hard at the same time, or working hard's worthless. And when I saw Nick, I was like, you're doing exactly what I did. Let me teach you something. Mm-hmm. And we met Nick when he had an office, and he had this little side room. It was like an alcove, kind of like the kitchen over here, right? You just kind of step. So we're standing outside this alcove, and he said, step into my office, and he sidestepped one step, and he says, okay, you're in my office now. Seriously, there was no wall, no nothing. And he's like, okay, we're in my office, we can talk. And I'm like, this is hilarious. Just him and one guy. And I said, and Mike and I were like, you're too small. If we charge you our rate for this, what's going to happen is you're not going to have enough cash to pay yourself, and we can't do that to you. So just stay in touch, call me every once in a while. And about a year ago, well, about 2 months before we talked, he says, I'm ready. I'm bringing my brother down. I think we're ready. And he's, he was about 4 or 5 times the size that he was. And they sit down, and, those guys, I'm stoked. I think we can do this. We can do this. It's okay. I can work a little extra. We can find a way to pay this. And I'm like, okay. So we did what we could on price to help him out. And I'm like, you got a dog? He's like, yeah. I said, does he bite you? Like, when you come in, does he know who you are? Yeah, he knows who I am. I said, okay. I said, so how's your relationship? We aren't talking about business. How's your relationship with Elaine, his wife? It's kind of rough. We fight a lot. Well, what about the shop? All the time. And I'm like flashing back to like, I know exactly how that feels. So I didn't know how much I was missing. And I saw this kid, and he didn't know how much he was missing. The life and experiences with family and being able to go do stuff is something so valuable. And we don't know, we miss it. Time is the one thing we can never get back. And it's probably the most valuable asset we have. So I'm looking at this guy, he's working with his brother, and I'm looking at his wife, and I'm like, we got to do something here. And I asked him the other day, it's like, when's the last time you ran a machine? He's like, man, I don't know. It's like, how's sales going? He said, man, we're full. I'm like, yes. Mm-hmm. So not only is his pricing right, his process is right, he's flowing through like 4x what he was able to flow through the shop before, and he's full of work, Tony.
Yeah. We're going to slide into the shop rescue thing in just a minute, because I do want to talk about, and that's a great segue. I didn't know that was one of your favorite stories or your favorite story, but it makes for a great segue into the shop. But what I want to do first before we get to that, and we'll get into shop rescue in just a minute, is, Mike, last time you and I, and a quick shout out to both the Priest brothers and everyone that just went to Paris, by the way.
That's right.
So that's cool. They got to take a vacation, and the shop still ran. So throw that little tidbit in there. Mike, you and I were hanging out in Colorado the last time, and I believe it was the end of November. And you gave me a stat, which I thought was fascinating, because earlier you mentioned, the big companies have the money, the small and medium-sized shops, we had to figure out how to help them, right? Something about 50% of the workforce is on the big side, and 50% of the workforce is...
Yeah.
What's that stat?
It's a crazy stat.
Yeah, well, it stuck out to me, but obviously not enough to memorize the whole thing, which is why I have you in my life.
Sure, yeah. This is U.S. Department of Commerce information, but it's 99.7% of companies employ less than 500 employees. 99.7. 0.3 of 1%, so 1/3 of 1% of companies employ more than 500 employees. 1/2 of the U.S. workforce is in the 99.7, and the other half is in the 0.3.
That blows my mind.
It is a crazy stat, but yeah.
So how important are small shops? Let me ask you that.
Well, let's also take that to the White House as well, because they need to realize how important small shops are. I've had conversations on this show. Christian, my sound engineer, my producer, he's heard us talk about, what's the future of manufacturing. A couple of folks have said the big shops are going to buy up the small shops because it's not being funded correctly, or there's just going to be an integration of all things. So lots of those conversations are going on as well, aren't they?
Dude, the White House should call me. Give me 30 minutes. This is not hard.
Well, this might be the show that get us recognized enough that the politicians might call us.
Please, quit being a politician. Fix our country.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
But that's probably for another podcast as well, although I think the audience would love to see us debate a little bit of that. But we're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that today. We'll get in the weeds.
Mike and I are different sides of the aisle, but we agree on 99.7% of everything.
Well played, sir. Well played. All right, let's talk a little bit about shop rescue, because I have decided that I'm going to release this episode sooner rather than later. So a couple of folks who were on the gun show recently, I apologize. You're going to get bumped back a week. Tell all your friends, neighbors, cousins, mom, dad. Let's take a breath of all the friends we have out there. So I apologize for that. But I have to bump this one forward because we do have something incredible coming. It's something that my buddy Dave here has had discussions with the potentials of a Netflix series. It's something that when you pitched it to me in Cleveland, I fell in love with immediately. It's something unique for the MTD team. We had never tried this before. This is legitimately a 3-part series that will be released very, very soon. And it's something that we hope reaches an audience in many facets, educationally, through the heart, through the mind, and inspires other shops, because we know you're out there. Mike just gave you the stat. We know how many of you are out there. Inspires you to trust these guys as well. It's what these podcasts are for. It's what these shows are for. So in 2024, 2025, we want more of you guys. We want to create more of these shows. So we're now going to talk about what this show is. And I quite literally was at an event last night and had 3 separate people on 3 separate occasions pull me aside and go, when's it coming out? When is that shop rescue show coming out? We are so excited. It's one of the most exciting things we've heard about in our industry for a long time. So let's talk about it. What did you and I talk about, Dave, in Cleveland? And then Mike, I'm going to have you pick up because I think it's a personally fun story, and it is in episode 1 where you're like, Dave, this isn't going to work. We can't do it with the Priest brothers. I don't believe in this shop just yet. I mean, obviously not the exact words, but there was conversation about that, which we do present in episode 1 as well. So Shop Rescue, how did this come together?
Well, Mike and I talk about marketing, and we talk about when you're a consultant, people look at you like you sell snake oil. They just do.
Don't say that when I'm drinking my tea, man. I'm going to spit it all over the microphone.
They're like, okay, how do we believe you? Everyone's a consultant. I'm a consultant. I'm laying on the couch. I can tell you exactly how to do that. It's like, hey, George Costanza, calm it down, right? So it's like, okay, the only way I know how to tell people what we do and why they should give us credibility is to show them. So I'm like, I go to Mike and I'm like, remember that show Bar Rescue? Yeah. I said, dude, I want to do something like that, but for machine shops. No one's ever done this. He looked at me like, dude, did you smoke something in Colorado today? What's going on?
Just breathe the air sometimes?
He did. He warmed up to it, but I love Mike because he challenges my conviction. He looks at me and he looks at every facet. We were just sitting on thank you for bringing us down this beautiful area. We're sitting on the bench a couple blocks down, just kind of talking about strategy and what's going on with marketing. And I'm like, our marketing we have to prove to people that, yes, it makes a difference. We're changing lives, impacting lives, or improving business performance. I don't care about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the task. It's about the mission. And the mission means nothing unless you have social proof. People have to see it. They have to see what's happening. So I'm like, okay, let's just take a shop that I know is hurting really bad and let's fix it in 6 months. And then I was like, this Tony Gunn guy, I like him. I say he's lots of energy. He's positive. He's always jumping around. He's funny. And so I literally just found your information. I think I sent you a message on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I call you. I find a library, and I was in Huntington, Indiana, and I'm in this little closet in there and having a Zoom call. And you just got back from Bali or whatever. Your hair is all over the place, and you're like, yeah, man. And it's like I said, I'm just going to pour my heart and soul out this guy, and I'm going to show him who I am and what this is and what we do in hopes that something will come of this. And then it's like, we're both going to whatever the show was in Cleveland, and we're sitting down, and I said, let me share this with you. And you're like, this is real. And the thing I love about you and MTDCNC is you're like, okay, commercials and videos and education is paramount, and we need that. But how do we impact other human beings for good? And when you wake up in the morning and you have a job and you're impacting other human beings for good, and you're making a difference in their life to where when you go to bed, they're going to bed a little bit earlier, they're taking a little bit more time, they're buying something for their employees, their bonuses are a little bit bigger, whatever it is, you're helping them make a difference. And in that ball of passion was like, okay, this is what I think we can do. And, forget the flyers and this and that and all the magazines. Forget all that stuff. Let's just go with a good, reputable company that has really good video with a great personality that I dig. Because, we have to get along, right? And because if we can't have fun, why work so hard?
It sure makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. and I was just like, let's see if we can get this. So once Mike was like, okay, you go give it a shot. I'll totally support it. And he asked all the questions, challenged my conviction, and he said, go. And then I met with you, and you're like, I like it. And then I had to sell him, this is what it's going to cost, but I think we can cover this, and we can do this, and we just made it happen. So hopefully that answers. That's a lot to say.
No, it's
but
perfect.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, and I think I owe you some money for all those compliments at this point, but please do go on. No. So Mike, we're gonna, after you answer this one, we're gonna kind of slide into some of these games. We actually have 3 games today for everyone who's listening and or watching. So 3 games today. Everyone loves the games. It's a fun thing to do. Dave emailed me just to give you a heads up, since I don't think you got one. He selected a Would You Rather game where you get to decide would you rather from no perfect situations.
Okay.
And he selected rapid fire questions where it's just first thing that pops out in your mind. You don't have to say why it's the answer, just that's the answer, right?
Keep it appropriate.
And the third game we're going to, try your best. And the third game we'll go play is this. It's this board that I have here. It's called Adrenaline Rush Bucket List. And Dave was kind enough, and Mike was kind enough to purchase this along with this gorgeous pen. Christian, can you zoom in on that a little bit? Little Mont Blanc right there. Yeah, that's sexy. We know it's sexy. If you're listening, just imagine. But if you're watching, you can see it.
So you want a good videographer? Let him sign his name on something. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to slide into these games in just a minute. I obviously want to get your side of the story where we were both pumped about this and hear yours as well. But just real quick, for everyone who's watching and listening, to my knowledge, I was speaking with Bonnie recently from IMTS, and apparently you guys and them are working together at IMTS, and there's a potential that everyone will get a meet and greet with Nick and Tanner as well. And if it's not Nick and Tanner specifically, it's the idea and concept of Shop Rescue and everything we're creating. So again, to our sponsors, this is why partnerships work. Okay, I've said enough. Mike, your perspective of when this was pitched to you and how it started with Priest.
Well, first of all, the economics didn't work for me. I mean, the company was too small. And when you talk about a fee that will eat up all of their profits, I just didn't think that was going to work. And Dave's like, well, I believe in these guys, and okay, they're smaller than our normal client, but these guys have a hunger. They fit our mission. And I was like, okay, Dave, I'm going to trust you. Dave and I are way more collaborative than he leads us
on.
Yeah.
We are.
And
you do challenge me.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, man, they're yours.
That's collaboration.
Yeah, that's collaboration.
I like that.
But they're yours.
Yeah, they're yours.
Good luck with that.
Because when we approach the great game of business, all of our small and medium-sized clients have the ability to make great parts. I mean, they all do, and it's just amazing. I'm amazed at the things that our clients make, but the business acumen usually takes more time and energy, and they don't necessarily have the bandwidth for that time and energy. And I was worried that the Priest boys wouldn't have the bandwidth for the business acumen that they were going to need to grow the way we want our clients to grow. So, but when I met them, I mean, those guys, you cannot love the Priest boys. I mean, the personalities, big personalities, willing to work around the clock. So, I think luck is the intersection of hard work and opportunity, and they were that in spades. So, as much as I didn't want to, I couldn't resist those guys, and they they had that same spell on Dave, so we were all in. I mean, once we say go, we go, so we were all in.
This is Shop Rescue.
My name is Paul Van Meter. I am one of the co-founders of ProShop ERP. We partner with small to medium-sized machine shops to streamline their operations and help improve their profitability. This was an absolute no-brainer when I heard about this project. When other shop owners see this and see what's possible, it will inspire them to improve their own businesses, to invest in systems and processes and do the things, pull the levers that Mike and Dave talk about that can have just a huge impact on their shops. The shops that embrace change and are aggressive to pursue it, improve efficiencies, improve quality, those are the shops that are going to thrive. Take those steps to improve their operations, and it makes a huge difference. And it's worth getting past that fear to the other side.
That's a good response. Appreciate it. You ready to play some games?
Ready.
Yeah? All right. So each of these questions won't be for individuals. So one question won't be for both of you. I'll ask individual questions for each person.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
The first one we're going to do is Would You Rather. So it's situations that aren't great, but you get to select why you picked one over the other. We'll go with you first, Dave. And so here's just to get your wheels turning, Mike. And we're just going to throw Dave right under the bus.
Love it.
The first question that I'm not going to ask, but as an idea of how this works, is would you rather work only with outdated equipment or have the latest technology but with frequent malfunctions? So that's the concept. No perfect situation,
Gotcha.
but one is better than the
Gotcha.
other in our opinions, right?
Very good. Very
First
good.
question, Dave. You ready? All right. Would you rather deal with a consistent shortage of raw materials or have excess of materials with limited storage space?
Excess materials with limited storage space.
Just throw it outside, let the weather get it.
Get a shipping container.
It's quick and easy, right?
Rent a storage unit. I don't care, but I got to make parts and make money.
You can't have those lead times, right?
You got to ship. If you aren't shipping, baby, you ain't making money if you ain't shipping.
I thought I was making chips. Don't.
Yeah, they can have that. I'll take the making money.
I think, honestly, what COVID did to us, as far as having all of the overseas issues being brought, I think that's kind of everyone's answer at this point, right?
What's happening
is
right
I need
now.
my materials. I'll take it over.
Supply chain.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and currently as well, right?
What's happening right now is people have an abundance of inventory because they did that, and so what's happening is business has contracted a little bit, and so people are eating up that inventory before they launch again. So it's right sizing right now, but
Right sizing.
It is.
I like that. All right, ready for your question there, Mike?
I'm ready.
It's an easy one. Would you rather? Let's see. Would you rather have a highly skilled but unreliable team, much like Dave? Or a less, I'm just kidding, Dave, you're very reliable.
Love you.
Would you rather have a highly skilled but unreliable team or a less skilled team that's extremely reliable?
Definitely the latter.
Yeah?
I'd rather have a less skilled team that's extremely reliable, because then we go get the work that best suits that team, and we'll make some money.
Yeah. I think reliability is another one of those ones that just, you need it, right?
Yeah.
We need to be able to rely on people.
Predictability.
We can't do it all ourselves.
That's right. I mean, on-time delivery for our small to medium-sized customers, they don't understand how important that is, because if you can give them on-time delivery, you get to keep price. But if you have a highly skilled workforce and you can't predict your on-time delivery, then you have an expensive workforce and you have to charge less money for them.
Mm-hmm.
And reliability and availability are a little synonymous in some situations, and I'd much rather have availability over ability.
Well said. You ready for your second one?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you two each. Would you rather work in a traditional manufacturing setting with a predictable routine or an innovative environment with constant changes?
Oh, man. I like the innovative environment with constant changes because I like to think on my feet.
You're kind of doing that now, I'd say.
Yeah. The predictable thing, man. There's good money in long run production, but I do like to mix it up. I just go to the prototype area then.
Yeah, it is fun to get creative, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
In the jewelry world that I first worked in, I helped design about 6 or 7 ring patents, and I just felt it was when they gave us the time to just, because we were doing line-by-line programming on a floppy drive at that time, right? So when they just gave me the freedom to just program craziness to see what would happen with the design of the rings, and then present it in the meetings, was just so much fun for me. So I'm with you on the creative thing.
Right on.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, again, I mean, that's where you get the greatest value. That's where you get the greatest profits, because if you have something unusual, you get to charge more money for it.
We are all a little unusual, aren't we?
We all are.
I'm not. I don't know about you guys.
I'm normal as can be.
Yeah.
You ready for your second one, Mike?
I'm ready.
Would you rather have a smaller, more dedicated customer base or a large, less engaged customer base?
Smaller, more dedicated, for sure. Ideally, they are viable, sustainable companies, right? I mean, so I need to make that an important piece of that answer. If they're, not viable, then I need more of them. But if they're good, strong, viable companies, absolutely smaller one.
That's a good answer. And I think I agree with all these answers so far. Well, for the audience listening, if you have your own opinion, please leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. But that's why we play these games and ask these questions, is to create debates about what you'd rather have. All right, you ready for a couple rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
Mike.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So I'm going to throw, let's do 4. Just off the top of your head, whatever pops in first. If you'd like to give a little bit of a reason for why it popped into your head, you're welcome to. But we don't need to spend too much time on that. Totally up to you.
Okay.
Yep.
Ready.
All right. A historical figure you'd hire for your team.
Martin Luther King.
Ooh, buddy. I kind of want you to go into details on that, but we're not going to. That's a great answer. And we're in February right now, so great month to talk about it.
Yep.
All right. The one tool that you cannot live without.
Probably a computer.
I think a lot of phones, right? Phones are computers these days as well.
Yeah.
Your dream, it says manufacturing, but your dream project.
My dream project. We had an idea of making an aircraft carrier. We called it the Aspen Project, where we were going to just buy up small and medium-sized manufacturers, overlay the EGS approach, and increase the value and sell it. And we didn't get a chance to do that because our clients really take so much of our time and energy. But I'd like to do that at some point.
That does sound good. Is that your retirement plan?
Nah. No, my retirement plan is a 50-foot trawler in the water somewhere.
We've talked about this.
That's right.
In the Midwest, I believe, on one of the Great Lakes.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a good end. All right, last one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Most memorable factory tour?
Probably in Denver. There was a company that made parts for NASCAR. They had how many DMG Morris? As far as I could see, it was unbelievable.
Like a Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah. And maybe 10% of them were running, but yeah, that was probably the most memorable. I'd never seen that many of machines in one place.
Memorable for two reasons: a bunch of machines and a bunch not running.
Yeah. I mean, the business side of me said this is not sustainable, but it was still impressive.
Yeah. Real quick from my side, I went into a place in Vietnam for Samsung that had, they have 15,000 robo drills.
Wow.
And it really did feel like a Hall of Mirrors as far as you could see.
Wow.
And floors on floors of it. I think there was 70,000 employees, had their own babysitting area, had their own doctor's office. I mean, everything was right there.
You got to be kidding me.
It was fascinating. It was really cool. All right, Dave, you ready for yours?
Sure.
A book every manufacturer should read.
10 times is easier than 2 times.
That is a great book. I remember you recommended that to me as well. And for everyone listening and or watching, I recommend it also. Yeah, great book. All right. If you could manufacture one thing from a sci-fi movie, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm not a sci-fi guy, but it'd have to be some turbo warp speed engine.
And would it work?
If we made it here, of course.
All right. The future of manufacturing in one word.
Strong.
I like that. I sure hope that's right.
Or strength.
I sure hope that's right. One myth about manufacturing you want to bust.
You don't have to be a super crazy, smart, 5-degree person to get into manufacturing. You can walk out of high school, you can get a job, and you can make 6 figures. If you work hard, you can make 6 figures and really make some good headway by the time your buddies are out of college. I mean, that's what I think. Get into trades, man.
I sure hope this podcast reaches the middle schools and high schools at some point, even though we did cuss at the beginning of the show. So we'll bleep that out for the kids.
My bad.
No, I say it all the time too. No, it's okay. But I do hope it reaches. I mean, they're cussing already anyway.
Yeah,
right?
and no doubt.
Came from the shop. I'm sorry.
And the corollary to that is if you're a small and medium-sized manufacturer, you should be printing money.
There you go.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, last game. We have a few minutes left before we do our toast at the end of the show. You guys have chosen bourbon today, a great selection.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites. I'm really a Scotch guy, and then a tequila guy, and then a bourbon guy, but I know you guys are bourbon guys because last time we were in Colorado, you offered me a taste of something really delicious. What was that? Do you remember? It was that bourbon that you had.
It was Woodford. We had
Okay,
Woodford.
one of the Woodfords, yeah. It was nice.
Was it Woodford or was it Angel's Envy?
I busted out the Woodford for Tony.
Regardless.
It was one I got at their distillery.
Yeah, it was good. All right, so we've never played this game before, but like I said at the beginning of the show, Adrenaline Rush bucket list. So Dave and Mike were kind enough to offer me a gift to say thank you for everything we were doing with MTD on this show and all the effort that we put in and time. And let me just say, we're equally as excited as you guys are. My editing team, and I know we got to talk about this, is like, let's do this. Are we ready? Let's do this. You know, they're pumped. When are more shows coming? So we're all hoping that this does what we believe and dream that it can do. I just kind of made this game up on the drive here, so no real rules to it.
Really?
Yeah, sounds about right, like my lifestyle, doesn't it? But you gave this to me because I am an adventurist, and I have done, I don't know, 50% of the things on here. So for the audience watching, I would love for you to leave in the comments some of the adventures you've been on. So some of the ideas here: speedboating, deep sea diving, cliff jumping, caving, wingsuit base jumping, ice hole plunging, zip lining, wing walking. I'm not going to read them all, but there's a bunch on here. So I wanted to take this opportunity, because I do love adventure, to kind of take a minute or two to share an adventure that you guys have been on, and I'll share one of my own as well. Mike, let's start with you. An adventure that you've been on in your life that might be considered an adrenaline rush?
I've had the good fortune of a lot of adventures, but last summer I took a group of guys over to Munich. We went to the Oktoberfest, and then we went and well, you can actually do this. We went and rented a BMW M8 competition. It's a 200-mile-per-hour car, and we rented a Mercedes-Benz van, and we took it over onto the Autobahn, and two of us at a time ran it up to 170 miles an hour, which was, I think, 280 kilometers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just back and forth, man, to 170, 180 miles an hour on the Autobahn. That was a lot of fun.
You know, I'm one of those stupid people, as you might recognize by now, and did something similar to that in the snow while filming it in Germany as well, on the Autobahn.
Yeah, we didn't have any snow. Yeah, man.
I was like, I got to show everybody this. Held my phone right by the RPM there. How fast I was going, and the snow was coming down. It looked like, if you ever watch sci-fi, which you don't apparently, Dave, but it looks like you're going through space.
Hyperspace, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm with you. I think you were going a little bit faster, but I definitely hit probably 120, 130, 140, somewhere around there. Yeah. All right, Dave, you got an adventure story for me?
Well, when I was young and I wasn't very smart, I had a motorcycle that was pretty quick, and I actually got to 200 mile an hour once, and that was absolutely awesome. And shortly thereafter, because it wasn't fast enough, I sold the bike because I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. But on 469 in Indiana, with an awesome motorcycle, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can also empathize with that feeling.
Yep.
Although I've never owned a bike, because I know I would kill myself, much like yourself. All my buddies did. So I did hop on the back a few times with them, and they're like, let's see how fast this thing can go. And we'd hit the back road just flying. And I don't know the speed. I don't know if it was 200. I don't know if it was 100, but it was as fast as those bikes would go. Yeah. We were talking Ducatis, and they had the power.
Sure. Yeah, above 150 miles an hour, things just change dramatically. Your windshield, your side, your windows, your passenger and driver's side windows want to separate, and a lot of things happen at those speeds.
Yeah, without a windshield, and I'm not a petite man. I don't know if you know this, but I was a wind block, so I had to have a strong bike. But it was pretty good.
You were popping wheelies?
No, I was just when I let off the gas, I slowed down quick.
All right, a real quick one from me, because we're running short on time, unfortunately. I really do think this podcast will go for about 2 hours today. I don't think Christian's too bored with this conversation, at least not yet. But if we keep going, he'd get bored. He's a young man that's not in the industry. He's like, show me some beautiful women and some MMA fighting, and that kind of. He actually
we got bourbon.
He was actually in an MMA fight just the other day with a young lady who kicked him in the face. So that's how my production engineer likes to work, But good dude, so we won't bore him. So quick story for me. A couple years back, when Bali's volcano was super active and Iceland's was just recently. It didn't actually explode. There was a lot of prayers going on. The soot was coming out, but it didn't do what Iceland did. But it was darn near close. I thought since I was there, it'd be a good idea to see what was happening, see how close I could get to it. So I took my rented scooter and went 80% up to the top, and all the green grass was gray from the soot. Everyone left the town, and it was a ghost town, except for one young man. He spoke a little bit of English. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" Like,
yeah, you're breathing that stuff in?
It's temporary, I take a lot of herbs. I clean myself out, But yeah, that was a good one for me. I got you could really feel like the passion of Mother Earth when that thing's rumbling. You just feel it, the vibration. So, but I have we could go on for those. I mean, from skydiving and whitewater rafting to. Did you know? I'll do this one real quick. Did you know I was on a regional Fear Factor contest when I was about 22 years old? that I ended up winning, actually. Got to meet Lenny Kravitz and be front row and backstage and all that fun stuff. I had to eat raw pig brains, swim in a swamp with snakes, and bob for plum and a bucket of eel. But I ended up winning that. But you know how I got on that show?
No, but I am so not surprised.
So I was with my buddies, and it was his birthday, and there was a carload of girls beside us. Remember, for everyone watching and listening, I'm 20, 21, 22 at this time. So a carload of girls.
And really shy.
And super shy, yep. So I had to do something extra special for my buddy's birthday. So I tell my buddy, drive straight as you can, right? So I climb out the passenger window on top of the car while we're going about 60 miles an hour down the highway. On top of the car, I'm hanging on. He's like swerving a little bit side to side. My legs are flopping like this. We're getting their attention. And they start waving, and they're like, yeah, you know, that kind of thing, right? So I tap on the window, and he kind of sticks his ear out. I'm like, hold it real still. I'm going to surf. So I climb, when I'm already on top, I stand up on top of the car while going 60 miles an hour, and I'm surfing and like waving at these girls and stuff, right? Then I climb back in while we're still going, and they end up, it was a good end of the day. I won't go into any more details. Happy birthday to my buddy 20-some years ago. Also dating my age, but that was the story that got me on the show. They're like, this dude's crazy. We got to get him on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Teen Wolf.
You guys ready for a toast?
Absolutely.
Benjamin, the good-looking young man from South Florida, always dressing nice and proper, I tell you. It's your New Year's resolution, right, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a good man, this guy.
I like it.
You know, I was on a podcast with Benjamin as my production engineer not too long ago, and you did a good job, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so I've given you time to think about a toast, whoever you want to thank. If you want to give shout-outs to anyone, if you have a standard toast that you like to do at weddings and Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, you're welcome to do it. And whichever you wants to start first, Mike, looks like it'll be you if you have a toast for us.
I think I'd like to toast to our country and the fact that people come to the United States to chase the American dream. And I think that as Americans, we want to make sure we always celebrate that. So,
thank you for doing that. That's kind of to who you'd hire for your company as well, with an American dream, and I have a dream and all that stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well done, Dave.
A toast to all the people wondering if they can do it, but inside they know they can do it, and they need to take a chance to go get it.
I like it. Cheers to you guys. Appreciate
Cheers.
you both. Nice taste of bourbon. Christian, thank you for everything you do as well. For everyone watching and listening right now, we absolutely appreciate you. As Dave said earlier about time, potentially the most valuable commodity that any of us have, and we cannot get it back. So I hope we've given you enough value for your time today. Thank you for watching the show. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, the MTD website, and LinkedIn. We hope to see you all again soon. Appreciate you.
So my name is Mike Watkins. I'm one of the principals at EBITDA Growth Systems,
My name is David Kafkovitz, where our mission is to impact lives through improving business performance.
where our brand promise is we'll double the valuation of your company in 3 years.
We have a coaching offering where many small and medium-sized businesses engage us.
We focus on training, specifically management and leadership development training, because managers are central to employee engagement and employee efficiency, which leads to productivity and ultimately profits and our brand promise.
Where we go through the 5 plans. The plans around marketing, sales, finance, operations, and management. Where we come out to your facility and we spend a day with you. We get to know you, get to know your team, get to know your shop, because every shop's unique. To where we can coach you and lean on our 200 years of experience as a team to help you get to your next step in business.
We also provide management and leadership development training. And management and leadership development training is so important from an employee efficiency standpoint, from an employee engagement standpoint, which leads to productivity and ultimately profits. And in many instances, we have states that are willing to reimburse our clients for those expenses.
This is where we meet, have 2-hour calls a month where we talk about these 5 plans. We set in stone a plan for the year, and we march along the plan beside you and give you the best advice that we can to make sure that you're successful.
We have a fractional accounting offering because we find so many small to medium-sized manufacturers don't necessarily have that skill set in-house. And it's really important for us to meet our brand promise that we have timely and accurate financial statements. And so we have the ability to come alongside our clients and provide that service.
We also have a matchmaking service. It's different than a brokering service because we aren't bringing a whole bunch of buyers in. We have a very unique group of people that we have a relationship with that are looking to buy our clients because they know that our clients have all of their ducks in a row, their financials in a row, their operations plan in a row, their business plan in a row. So because of that, we're able to bring the best buyers to your table. Therefore, we help you do the diligence and make sure your data room is set to where when it's time for you to exit and you want to exit, we're ready to bring the market to you. We also do valuations, and we help you get a good valuation so you understand the number that's realistic to where you know if you want to lean into a matchmaking service.
When we asked a small to medium-sized business owner, what's next? What's the exit plan? Oftentimes they don't have an answer, or if they do have an answer, it's not well thought out. So we provide succession planning services, and the end product for our succession planning services is a succession agreement that can become part of your operating agreement, be given to an attorney for estate planning and so forth. So a very comprehensive offering for succession planning.
We have 5 primary offerings: coaching, training, fractional accounting, succession planning, and matchmaking and valuation.